Hello, beautiful ladies. I am super excited to finally be sharing this huge labor of love. So, the Budget Like a Boss template has gone through a major overhaul. And by major, I mean we have completely changed the user experience, the way you're going to be completing the spreadsheet. And now the biggest change is you're no longer going to need to create a new spreadsheet every single month. You're actually going to be able to do your budgeting on a monthly basis in the same spreadsheet every calendar year. So the only time you will need a new budgeting template will be on the 1st of January each year. Otherwise, everything just gets saved in one place, which makes it so much easier. It makes the user experience so much better. And it even makes it much quicker for you to complete your budgeting and monthly money review. So let's get right into it. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the Telegram channel or via email if you have bought this as a standalone product. So each tab will give you instructions on how to use the respective tab. OpenMe is an important tab, and every time you see pink, light pink cells, you need to input the relevant information. Otherwise, it will not input the information, or if you are using the example template, it will just use the information that's in the example. Okay, so for example, account name and number, you need to put these in. Starting balance, you will see this in your bank accounts, in the investment accounts or investment types, and also in your savings, as well as your different loans. So this should actually read loans. So you need to put in the starting balance or the starting value on the 1st of January. So the reason we do that is because this template is a calendar year template. And so in order for this to work, please go back and look at sort of what were your starting values, and then input that from there. If you don't have that information, then just simply use your starting values as at the month in which you are using this template for the first time. That's also okay. Then you want to make sure you input all the information that is in pink. It's pretty straightforward in terms of what is required. Then you want to come to your budget planning. So this is where you do the actual putting of the numbers that you want to either spend or income that you expect to receive on a monthly basis. So if you're doing this as at January, you're going to come in here and input the numbers in the January column only. We have also put a column here for you to indicate which bank account you are transacting from, which is very important as part of some of the upgrades we'll do in a few months' time, where we're also going to help you track the balances in each of the bank accounts based on the transactions that you're putting here. Okay, so still important to put it in here for now, because at some point you're going to be able to track your account balances right from your Budget Like a Boss template. Okay, so make sure you input this. It's very detailed. So it starts with your income, then we go to fixed fundamental expenses, then your debt payments, your investments, as well as your savings, your giving and donations, and then your variable fundamental expenses. So the difference between fixed and variable fundamental expenses is that fixed fundamental expenses are expenses that don't tend to change from month to month. And you have to incur them, like the rent that has to be paid, right? Variable is where it might change depending on the season, depending on what's going on in your life, like groceries, right? But it's still a fundamental expense. You need to eat in order to live. Then there is another other allocations of your expenses, which are the non-essential expenses. So I've split non-essential expenses between your subscriptions as well as other non-essential expenses. Why have we done this? Because subscriptions tend to be an underlooked area of your expenditure, because it's small amounts that are deducted every month, and you don't realize how much this is adding up, especially when you look at your subscriptions on a whole, as opposed to just like Netflix as a standalone subscription. This is going to help you really rationalize whether you need all these subscriptions, whether you're even utilizing them, or whether it's time to let go and put that money into more intentional use. And then we have your non-essential expenses. You know, I am not the kind of woman who will tell you to go into deprivation mode. I want you to spend on things that align with your values. If self-care, if going for for manicure every week is something that you can absolutely afford to do, do it, right? If it makes you feel good. For me, I know that the one thing that I adore doing is taking myself to the spa. And so I have found affordable ways of doing that on a monthly basis that is aligned with my values, but is still something that I am able to pay for from what I earn, as opposed to going to the credit card to do it. So once you put all that information in, you will then go to your monthly transactions. So depending on when you are viewing this demo, we are actually in the process of doing a Pay Yourself First challenge, where we are recording our monthly transactions literally on a daily basis. So when you do it on a daily basis, it becomes so much easier. And what you're going to do is you're going to copy and paste your transaction information from your bank account. So the first 4 columns are literally information that you get from your bank account or your mobile transaction app statement, which you can literally just copy and paste. You then need to put in your category and your detail subcategory. If this is a transfer from one account, internal account of yours, to another, leave these empty. Important to allocate each expense, because it is going to flow through into your monthly review based on the allocations that you have done, okay? And the other columns at the end were your account transacted from and your day. Please just start getting into the habit of putting that, or the day of the transaction. That should be actually a formula. So the only other thing that you need to put in here is your transacted from account. Okay. This should pick up automatically, so we'll actually gray out this cell. As you can see, this is still in beta mode, but the upgrades are just phenomenal. I absolutely have loved the experience of using our upgraded Budget Like a Boss template. Okay, so the beauty about doing your monthly transaction data is this, your budgeted versus your actual expenses, all gets auto-populated. So you do not need to change anything on this tab except for the month. Like, how cool is that? So we've done all this for you by putting in formulas and making everything just flow through automatically. All you need to do is put in the month, and you will then be able to see so much rich information that showcases how you are spending your money. Oops, it has gone to the next tab. That showcases how you are spending your money versus how you planned to spend your money. So we have a couple of graphs in here that you can look at. And sometimes looking at the numbers doesn't, hit home. But when you look at the graphs and the illustrations, it makes so much more sense. Okay, I want to just pause this recording so that I can get my... Okay, my laptop was about to go off, so I just needed to put it back in to avoid that happening. So you'll be able to see, excuse me. First of all, you'll be able to see your budgeted versus your actual expenditure across each of the expense categories. So you have your fixed fundamental expenses, your debt, investments, savings, giving and donations, your variable expenses, subscriptions, and then non-essential expenses. And you'll be able to see how that changes across each month, right? You'll also be able to see your inflows versus your outflows graphically, trends in how much you are spending, as well as changes in your net worth, which is really, really fascinating to see how this is moving over time. And we've also put in there sort of what your expenses are looking like and how that is affecting your net worth, which is such important gold information for you to look into when you want to be really intentional about building your net worth. Okay, next is the debt tracker, which is, again, a very, very useful tool for you to use in line with the exercise that I shared in the Ditch the Debt workshop. So one of the exercises that I asked you to do was to list down all your different loans. So you can use this template to do that. So list down the loans. What is it? What is the purpose? What is it used for? What type of loan are we talking about here? So there's a drop down for you to select, as well as under purpose, there's a drop down for you to select the one that is relevant, put in the interest rate, put in the minimum monthly payment, the current outstanding balance, and the current monthly payment. This is actually taken from your information that you have put in your monthly transaction. So if you are repaying a debt, it should reflect here, right? So if after you've put in all your monthly transactions, this number is 0 and yet there is a minimum monthly payment, then there is a problem, right? It's either you missed a payment or you are missing some transactions, and that's something that you would want to look into, okay? And similarly to the monthly review, we have put in some illustrations for you to look at how are you doing, in terms of paying off your debt? How much are you incurring in interest? Which debt is the most costly, right? So you can see that this debt number 1 is the most expensive one. And if you are using the avalanche method, so you're paying your debt off based on most to least expensive, this is the one that you would want to focus on, okay? Based on these examples, all the debt amounts are the same, but if you are using the snowball effect, let's look at the outstanding balances. Yeah, as you can see here, the one with the smallest outstanding balance is the car loan. And if you were using the snowball that was coined by Dave Ramsey, this is the one that you would want to attack first and then move to the next one. But instead of just paying the monthly payments, right, you want to make sure that instead of paying the minimum monthly payment, you want to make sure that your monthly payment is actually more, right? So you roll over the monthly payments you were making from the debt that you've paid off into this one to pay off even faster. And you can do the roll-off method even with Debt Avalanche if you want to tackle your most expensive debt first. Okay, hopefully we are still on the same page. I think I have already shown you the illustrations. There's also some graphs here that you can see graphically to see, how much have you paid versus how much is outstanding on each of the different loans, how much have you paid off over the year, and celebrate yourself, right? When you see that your outstanding balance, for example, has been on a decline, celebrate yourself, right? Don't focus on, the peaks. Celebrate that overall the trend is going down. If it's going up, then it's time to do an honest review and ask yourself, okay, what can I do differently? Okay, I believe that I have gone through everything. And then for each facility we have shown, you can see how the balance is changing over time and how much has been paid off, which is the light pink, versus how much is remaining, which is also a really great graphical illustration for you to see your progress. Okay, then when it comes to savings for the month, here you are again going to input this information, and I'm just going to highlight this in pink. You're going to input this information yourself, right? The savings amount, this again is taken automatically from your monthly transaction data. So there is no need for you to input this. And if you are or you intend to save, but there is no number there, then you need to ask yourself, okay, what's going on? What's happening? Or maybe there's some data that is missing that you need to input, okay? Again, you have the type, insert the purpose, what is it for, insert the interest rate that you're earning, which is really important because a lot of times people go into this whole saving mode, like they oversave, and then they don't realize how little of interest they're earning relative to if they put that money to harder work through smart investments like property, which is what I teach you all. Okay, again, graphical representations here to see your amount saved versus your target. We have targeted savings. So if you're saving, let's say for a wedding, and your wedding is $10,000, you can put that as the targeted savings amount. And then you can see your progress. So that would be savings account 3, your progress versus how much is remaining. And you can see your progress percentage-wise as well as where are you allocating your savings. We've also put in an indicator here for you to see whether you've achieved the pay yourself first rule, which is at least 10% of your monthly income should be going to pay yourself first. And this is a holding account, like I teach in the challenge and in the House of Wealth Expansion. So you're not meant to keep this money for paying yourself first here. After a month, I want you to reallocate that into an investment, whether that is a passive investment vehicle like exchange traded funds, or whether you're ready or you are actually in the process and you do have property investments ongoing, allocate that towards your property investment empire. And do that at least once a month. Okay, then your asset review, again, this is another area that you're going to want to update. So as per standard procedure, like all the other tabs, items or cells in pink are the ones that you want to update, and then the spreadsheet will automatically populate everything else. So you can see how much have your investments grown over the year. You can see how much you have contributed over the month, and you can see how much this is as a percentage of your income. So let's say you want to be investing 5% of your income every month. This is going to show you, and this is a good indicator of whether you're achieving that. Okay, so annual review, you typically only look at this at the end of the calendar year, but just for completeness, in case you're looking at this or you have done this for a few months and now you're at the end of the year wanting to review, most of the cells in here are actually already populated. The only thing that you need to put in is any revaluation in your investments. So you will see that your monthly transaction data for investments and savings only shows how much you have contributed. It doesn't show any increases. And so at the end of the year, what you want to do is look at, okay, what is my spreadsheet or what is my budget like a boss template saying the investment value is versus what is the actual value. So you might go to your retirement account contribution fund and realize, actually, I have a retirement fund value that is maybe lower than what I had thought because there were some charges, or maybe it's higher because there were some really great returns that have been accrued to your fund. So this is where you put in the actual value at the end of the year. Now, for some investments like properties, you will not do a valuation of your property every year, right? So you'll just put in there the latest value that you know, all right? So if it's the exact same number as what the Budget Like a Boss template has calculated, you'll literally just put in that number. Okay, so your debt tracker, so because the debt tracker is actually tracking your balances over each month, This is different in the sense that you do not need to update what's the actual balance, because these are the actual balances that you will have been tracking in your debt tracker over here. Okay, so there is a column here for you to put in what your outstanding balance is for each facility, right? The calculator also calculates what it expects it to be, but this is more for just a check as opposed to anything we're using, because I understand that sometimes there may be bank charges, sometimes the way the bank accrues interest is different to this calculation. So this is just for you to have a sense check that your balances are correct. Okay. But it's in no way being used in any of the calculations. All right, back to the annual review sheet. I was at your debt, so you can see how that has been moving. Similarly to your investments, you can see how your investment values have been changing over time. And then you can see the same thing for your savings, okay? And celebrate the upward trends. Where there are trends that are not in line with your goals, try and apply neutral energy and think of, okay, interesting, what can I do differently? As opposed to beating yourself up. That's not going to help you in the grand scheme of things. And then you can also see how your net worth has been changing over time, which is one of the exercise items that you are going to be looking at whenever you do the Pay Yourself First challenge, because at the end of the day, our goal is to increase that net worth so that we can experience and have financial freedom. And in the net worth tab, I have actually done a calculation that shows you how many years, this is just a benchmark, how many years it's going to take you based on your current net worth, how many years it's going to take you to achieve financial freedom. Now, for this person, you would have seen it's 5 years, but if you looked at the monthly budget, actually it's in the monthly review, you would have seen that this person is saving a lot of their money. So 27% of their money is going into savings, which is huge, right? And their expenses are reasonable. So 60% of their income is what they experience is what they spend. So that's why the number of years for this person to achieve financial freedom is quite low, because one, they are spending quite reasonably, and two, they are also saving quite a lot, right? They're saving quite a lot. And the other thing that I wanted to highlight was they're also quite aggressive in their debt payoff. So those things are helping this person in achieving financial freedom in a very short space of time. Now, I don't want you to be overly focused on, oh, how is this financial freedom number being achieved, etc., etc. That's not the whole point. The whole point of this is for you to see how your net worth is moving, because again, your current lifestyle and expenses is not necessarily the same as how you do want to be spending your money, or how much you want to be spending, right? Especially if you want to have more vacations, you want to take your kids to better schools, etc., etc. This is just to help you visualize what it is going to take for you to enter into your next level of financial wealth and freedom. Okay. And you could absolutely put in a different number here. So you could say, actually, I want my net worth to be 10 million in order for me to say I am financially free. So you can literally come in here and put in the number 10 million. As you can see, the financial freedom will not be achieved within the 40 years that we have projected here. And so this person either has to significantly increase their investments or reduce their expenses a lot, okay? So play around with this spreadsheet, but don't be so hell-bent on the definitions here, because you can easily choose them. So this number here represents the person's targeted financial independence. Okay, I think I have put in everything that I wanted to share in this mini training. I didn't want this to be overly long, because I want you to actually watch this. But as I mentioned, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And I can't wait to hear and see your wins about this incredible resource that we have spent so much time, effort, and your feedback as well. So I also want to see and hear your feedback as you use it. If there's anything that comes up, or if there are any suggestions on how we can improve it, please share, because that's how we have been elevating and upgrading the template based on your feedback. All right, ladies, talk soon.